So the spotlight on Mugabe's visit to South Africa, only the second state visit, if you can believe, in 21 years. Let's cross to Peter, who has more.
Francis, thank you very much indeed. Yes, indeed, South Africa and Zimbabwe have increased their economic cooperation following President Robert Mugabe's state visit to the country. They've established a binational commission, which was amongst several agreements signed. The commission is hoped to identify areas of economic interest between the two countries, and also the inflow of illegal Zimbabwean migrants was a focal point of the discussions. It's President Robert Mugabe's second state visit since 1994. He was accompanied by several ministers. The two leaders discussed issues ranging from increasing economic activity to concerns of illegal migrants entering the country. South Africa is Zimbabwe's biggest trading partner. Two-way trade stands at 28 billion rand, heavily skewed though in favor of South Africa. The two leaders will also address the SA Zimbabwe Business Forum on Thursday with the aim of increasing trade activities between the two countries. Well, with us in studio is contributing editor Vuyo Mvoko for more on President Robert Mugabe's state visit and those agreements signed. Vuyo, thanks very much for joining us. So it came with pomp and ceremony, and he even joked with journalists today. Would you say that his visit did what it intended to do?
If it didn't, then it, I think, contributed significantly. Because we saw today a bit of a changed President Robert Mugabe. If you listen to the tone, his tone in virtually everything that he said. For example, he apologized to South Africa for offending South Africa. Now, it's the people who come into the country illegally and so on. And almost like pleading, like you got a sense like he was sort of almost on his knees, to say, but do bear with us. We are going to send this message to Zimbabweans that we do want them to stay at home, and those who have to go and come to your country, they must do so legally, but do help us. We need you. It was almost like that kind of a thing that says, we need you to help us build our economy. We need to have you sort of help us as we seek to go even beyond your borders, even though you are our biggest trading partner. I mean, even when he was talking, previously you had complaints from Zimbabwe, not only from Zimbabwe, but other African countries about how trade is always skewed in South Africa's favor. Today you had President Mugabe saying, but that is bound to happen because South Africa is big. But what we're pleading for is for you to understand where we're coming from. We don't necessarily want this trade to be, because, to be, not to be skewed in your favor. But we're saying, think about us as well. Make our lives easy as well. We do have products that we believe can be in your country, but do open the doors for us. Please be kind to us when we want to borrow money. Don't give us loans at 3-4 times the normal lending rate. And he wasn't saying, he wasn't saying this in a hostile and arrogant manner, which you would have heard, some, 10, 15 years ago. He was saying this with all the humility. And I think that to me was a particular, but also giving South Africa credit for where Zimbabwe is today, saying you helped us, but take us, along all the way. We do need you, and that to me was the central message. Well, other people may then say, he's on his knees, that's because he's desperate and so on. Whatever his reasons, but it was a changed Robert Mugabe from the Robert Mugabe that we know.
All right, so I guess all we can do is speculate, but there was a lot of talk about economic cooperation, about fair trade, etc., etc. Tomorrow there's a big gathering between South African and Zimbabwean businessmen. What can we expect from that, and what would Zimbabwe be hoping would come through from this conversation?
Well, if today is anything to go by, these talks are or will be characterized by frankness. For example, or why am I saying that? If you listen to the finance minister, Chinamasa, he says, look, we are desperate. There's no doubt about that, However, we have to state our case. And one of the problems we have with South Africa is the issues I've mentioned, that you're not allowing our products. pharmaceutical products, but also tobacco and other agricultural products. Let's talk about that. The issue of the rate at which South African entities are lending Zimbabwe. Let's talk about this. And then he also says, on the other hand, we too are prepared to look at the things that we may be doing to wrong. And if you listen to Trade and Industry, South African Trade and Industry Minister Rob Davies, he too puts South Africa's issues firmly on the table, that we have to look at, for example, tariffs that you, Zimbabwe, are imposing unilaterally. We are very angry about that, and we believe you need to address it. So there's this atmosphere of openness and of speaking frankly about issues. Hopefully, civil society and business, when they meet these leaders tomorrow, will continue in that vein. And I think talks that are characterized by frankness and openness, tend to yield better results than people where people try to be kind and nice to one another when in fact they mean something else. So there is hope that these people, with the openness and transparency and frankness, will come hopefully, better deals for everyone involved.
All right, we've run out of time, but on a lighter note, he was in fine form, wasn't he? Joking, particularly about
with journalists who everything, about statues, about journalists and how they are making him famous and all that. Look, yes, a very old man, but in situations like those, journalists always look forward to the kinds of comments, and he actually didn't disappoint. I think everyone left happy. If the talks went as well as both parties would make us believe, I think journalists too left very happy. He didn't disappoint them. He entertained them, and was the Robert Mugabe they were actually looking forward to hearing from.
All right, Vuyo, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed. That was our contributing editor, Vuyo Mvoko, who's been covering that story, President Robert Mugabe's state visit to South Africa.